Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It feels pretty nice to be back in the swing of things and uploading on a consistent schedule. And today's video, to the enjoyment of me and I hope you as well, is a little bit of an older type of video that we haven't done in a really long time. It's an unboxing video. We've had a couple of those in the last year, but we're not taking a look at Thomas Wooden Railway 2022. We're actually going to be doing some unboxing of just old Thomas Wooden Railway items, and we're going to be doing them out of the package. Now, if you remember my channel long ago, several years ago now, this is what I did a lot. I remember specifically in the spring of 2020, I did a lot of these videos where I just ordered a package and I unboxed it. So I think this will be a pretty fun video and a little bit of a break from the other content I've been doing of the flea market finds, my new remake, and the other Thomas Wooden Railway 2022 unboxings. So without further ado, let's get into this video and take a look at our first item. And like I mentioned before, having this setup of this package right here is just something that I haven't done in a really long time. I think it's at least been a couple of years now, and it's kind of surreal, honestly. But anyway, getting into this package, as you can obviously see, this is ordered off of Amazon, and it is an item that I have been wanting for a long time, and I think I mentioned it in the last unboxing video, that it was something that I was going to get eventually, and I finally bit the bullet and I decided to purchase it. And now, just a little thing I'll note, this is the only item that I'm certain of is in this specific package. The other items I've had for quite a while now, at least a couple of weeks, and I've sort of forgotten what's actually inside them. So that will be a little bit of a surprise. But this only came a couple of days ago, so I was certain what's inside this packaging. So let's open it, and I'll have you guys see what it is. So that was pretty easy, just opening it at the top there. And inside you can see it is a new Thomas Wooden Railway item in the box, and it is Rebecca. And her box from the start right here, it looks really nice. And honestly, I think that overall, Rebecca's model looks very nice. The only thing that I think is a little bit weird with her model, as I stated, I think in another previous unboxing video, is her tender. Her tender is just really weirdly proportioned, and it looks a little bit too blocky for her model. But let's open this sleeve right here and hope that her model is perfectly intact. So interestingly, this doesn't really come across camera that well. I guess maybe it does to a certain extent, but you can see that this part right here is pretty flimsy. And if I open it up, it feels a lot more shaky than other packaging. Also, it's interesting to see the color of her yellow wheels right there. That's actually pretty good. It's a little bit different than this color right here of her top. And I will note that if you look at her side detailing right here, you can see that it is a little bit fuzzy, and this is a complaint I've had with many of these items, how it does look like it's a little bit fuzzy there, and it just looks like the detailing is not as crisp as it once was on these Thomas Wooden Railway items. You can see her face right there. I think she's all intact, and obviously we can't see the other side of her model, but for the most part, I think actually she looks pretty nice. So we're going to keep this in the box for right now, because eventually I want to do an entire video on her paired with another Thomas Wooden Railway item, and that is also new in the box, and I think I'll pair them together. This time it's not going to be a tender engine and a smaller engine. We're just going to do two tender engines together. So wink wink, maybe you can guess which character it is, but I'll save this for that video. And just real quick, I want to see the back. So you can see on the back it still has that plastic hook, which I don't really ever think has a purpose, and once again it has that flap on the back that you can access the model from the back. Interestingly, on the top right here, it only says Rebecca. It doesn't say her name in other languages, but besides that, I think that's all I really wanted to talk about Rebecca. So I think she's a really nice model, and once again, this was the only one that I was really certain of what it was. So for these next couple models, it's going to be a free-for-all. I'm going to open the package, and along with you, I'm not going to know what's inside it. So, with that said, let's move on to the next item. So I think we'll keep chugging along on this Amazon train, and we're going to be taking a look at this package, And as I mentioned, I don't really know what's inside here. Hopefully it's something train related and not something else I ordered on Amazon. But from the box, I think I might have an idea of what it is. So I've prepared some items back here to compare with it if it's what I actually think it is. So let's open up this package and see what it is. I always find it interesting how they package these Amazon items. It always feels like the package is either too big or too small for what the item actually is. But I guess with the speed aspect, they just want to get this stuff to me as soon as possible. So I guess that makes sense. Here you can see that it is actually what I thought it was. And the box is a fair amount smaller than I would have guessed for this item. And you can see that it is not Thomas Wooden Railway, but it is still a wooden railway brand, and it is actually Orbrium, and it's some Orbrium Express coaches. And now, I don't think I've ever actually purchased an Orbrium item before. I know that I had Melissa and Doug, and I also had Imaginarium, I think it's called. Maybe I'm not pronouncing that right. But I know I always had those sort of off-brand items. And of course, a couple months ago, I got my first BRIO item with that BRIO lumber wagon. However, I've never had these before, and I've seen them in a lot of different people's YouTube channels and just online in various different capacities. I know that some people have made these into express coaches, for example, or maybe Ducks Auto coaches, and I thought they'd be a cool purchase. And on Amazon, these have been on there for quite a many years. And I've just really never wanted to purchase them, as there's been other things that I have been my top priority. But now that Amazon is kind of barren, at least in the terms of interesting Thomas Wooden Railway stuff to purchase, I thought I'd finally click the button and order these. And these were only $11, so not a bad deal by any means. And I'm interested to see their quality. So let's open these up. But actually, before we do that, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's look at the package first. You can see the package is actually pretty elegant. I like how it's designed. Here it has a sticker that says Orbrium Toys made with real wood. And here's a depiction of the 3 coaches that you get in this box. You can see that it says 3+ years. And I actually like that logo. That actually looks pretty nice. The box on the side right here, it says compatible with all major wooden railway. And it also says 3 times express coaches, link to their website. And it says products made in China, designed in the USA. So I guess that means Orbrium is a United States company. Let's see, on the back here, it says expand your wooden railway world with us. And once again, it lists their website. And here's a little drawing, or rather picture, of some different items you can get in Orbrium. You can see that these items have those plastic wheels with kind of the metal in the center. It's kind of similar to BRIO, I guess, and other competing wooden railway brands. There's not much else on the package except for on the top and bottom here you can see another illustration of the coaches that you will get. And I've never actually made a custom before. Sorry for the darkness there. I've never made a custom before, so I'm not sure really how gung-ho I'll be about repainting these or anything like that, but they would honestly probably be a good first project to delve into the world of customs. So they're packaged kind of in the seal wrap right here, so that's kind of funny. We'll take them out like this. It's like if I laid 3 tracks out right here, 2 more on this side, I could put them like this and have them go along the track. But that's kind of cool how they're packaged. Hopefully they don't get paint chipped or anything like that. We'll set those off to the side for a second. You can see it's just a cardboard box, nothing special in there. But it does come with a pamphlet, which is kind of interesting. And something actually is a nice change of pace, as we haven't had pamphlets in a really long time with Thomas Wooden Railway. I know we got them for a couple of years, or even, should I say, just a year there with the new Thomas Wooden Railway, but they stopped doing that pretty quickly. And even with the old Thomas Wooden Railway, I think back to Mattel in 2013, they included pamphlets, but after a couple years, they stopped that pretty abruptly. So let's take a look at this pamphlet really quick. You can see on the front, it says, once again, build your wooden railway world with us. And I think that's actually a pretty nice slogan. You can see that it has, introducing Designed by Orbrium. So what is this? Screw track and fastener construction system. I'm not exactly sure what this is. It kind of looks like a thing where you like Frankenstein a little bit. You mix and match stuff. It says it down here, actually. Yeah, so I guess it's just sort of a thing to let kids be more creative. And it just has some stuff about the Orbrium mission statement, I guess you could say. Here's a fantasy adventure set. That's kind of interesting. National Park Mountain Spiral Adventure Set. That's a wordy title. And here you can see this is on Amazon. I've seen this on Amazon actually before. So you can see the design of Orbrium, sort of their style that they have their engines in. Once again with the plastic wheels and the metal in the middle of the wheel right there. And you can also see that the chassis are actually not painted, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if it's always been like that. Here's also something that's been advertised on Amazon. Here is the Orbrium engines, and also you have a coach right there. And you can paint these, and it actually comes with paint. So that's actually kind of interesting. I'm not sure, except for this express coach, what else I'd really use these for, but maybe that could be something I'd purchase one day. I can't remember how much that's been on Amazon, but I should probably look that up. Maybe that could be something I could purchase. This set actually doesn't look too bad. I'm not sure about the risers. They kind of look a little cheap. I've also seen this before. This one actually, too, would not be a bad purchase either. And yeah, there's just a lot of track packs and different things you'd see with destinations. Actually, I just saw something that was kind of interesting. Oh, here's buffers. I actually need more of those. This kind of looks like the Sodor Mine Tunnel. I can't remember the exact name of it, but you know the thing with the swinging door. I'll put the name of it on the video. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that kind of looks like that. And of course, Orbrium has this roundhouse where the trains go on top of the shed. I always thought that was kind of interesting, although it kind of reminds you of Chuggington. So that's not the best thing to imagine. And interestingly, okay, this is kind of, I know we're spending a lot of time on this pamphlet here, but this is kind of interesting to me as we haven't had one of these in such a long time. You can see in this picture right here, here is some trees from Thomas One Railway, a railroad crossing sign, some more trees and a crossing sign, and you can faintly see that these tracks are the traction rail tracks, actually. And you can also notice that here's Spencer, Gordon, Thomas, the egg cars, here the Orbrium car, Bell, Stephen, and that's all the characters I can pick out. But that's kind of interesting. They pictured in here competing brands. So that is kind of interesting. Besides that, coloring activity, and I think that's about it. On the back right here, it just has a QR code, and the date is 2023. So without further ado, I think it's time to actually take a look at the actual coaches that we are here for. And once again, they're in this sort of plastic sealed wrap. So I'll use my thumb right here. Well, I'll try, I guess. Oh, loud pop. Wow, that was loud. To get into these. And I've never seen items packaged like this before, but I guess it makes sense. Coming directly from China, these are probably pretty mass-produced. And it looks like there's something on the roof right here, which is kind of annoying. But besides that, actually, these don't look too bad, although you can tell that it's not the same quality as normal Thomas One Railway. And also, something I'll point out, I don't remember the wheels having the Orbrium logo on them. If you can see right here, it says on the side of the wheel right here on the edge, Orbrium. And seeing other people's customs, I don't think I've ever noticed that before. So I don't know if that's a recent addition or something like that, but that does kind of put a damper on my plans possibly to make these customs, as the wheels are kind of tainted with the branding of Orbrium, which of course for this just being an Orbrium coach is expected, but since I wanted to turn this sort of into a custom, that is a little snafu in my plan. On the bottom right here, it just has some probably factory information, and you can see that the coaches are pretty similarly designed to other bogeyed Thomas One Railway items. For example, let me bring in an express coach, and you can see that it has these metal poles right here that hold in the little bogies right here. If we take a look at this, it's pretty much the same. Although, let's just do a quick comparison, I guess. You can see that these coaches are much higher up on their bogies than these ones. The angle right here of this part right here is a lot higher. It's a lot steeper of an angle. So that makes the coaches look a little bit higher. And also, the main body of the coach is a lot thinner. I do like the color scheme of this coach, actually. I think it looks pretty nice. And it does kind of give me sort of retro vibes. Of course, Thomas Wooden Railway is always simplistic in its coach design and design of models in general. But if we bring this Orbrium coach right here, you can see they actually don't look that bad next to each other. So let's take out the other Orbrium coaches. And these should come out a little bit easier, hopefully. And it looks like this one doesn't really have anything on the roof. Although, well, it's stuck on the wheel right here. Let me just try to get that undone. Wow, that's really stuck. Oh, there we go. Okay. And this one does sort of have a mark on the roof right there, although nothing to write home about, really. On the bottom of these, actually, there's no factory information. So I'm assuming these were probably made in triples, you know. They were probably all three packaged together, and this was just printed on this one. Interestingly, you can see where it's sort of maybe a machine or something spray painted black onto these bogies. As you can see on the inside of there is some of the wood sort of coming out right there. So that's kind of interesting, actually, and sort of a little depiction into the design of these models and the production of them. And on the side right here, I'm just trying to figure out how these were made. I think this is sort of a sticker decal that was stamped onto the side of this item. You can see it has the windows right here, and of course it says Orbrium Express on the side, and the two doors on either side, and it's mirrored on this side as well. The build quality is alright. I'd say it's probably average for a wooden railway item for a children's toy such as this, although the quality is noticeably less than Thomas Wooden Railway. And it really makes you appreciate Thomas Wooden Railway as sort of a beacon of well-made children's toys. And it's just, the quality of this model really feels very good. It feels like it's a very high-produced model and made with a lot of care. Well, these are a little bit more cheaply made, and you can hear the sound. They kind of sound a little cheap with their wheels, the plastic wheels rattling around. And the plastic does look a little bit lower quality than the plastic of this item, for example. And honestly, this kind of reminds me of the new Thomas Wooden Railway, just with how the plastic is made. It sort of has that cheaper look. Even, I guess you could say Thomas Wood. I feel like Thomas Wood looked a lot like this right here. It looked a lot like the plastic on these items. So that's something to keep in mind. And it really goes to show with Thomas Wood how cheap those models were made. So that's kind of interesting. I guess that's kind of an interesting point that I made. And if we just put these on the track right here, let's move the pan foot out of the way. You can see that they look pretty good on the track. And let's see if I have an engine around that can pull them. Here's Edward. And this is actually the 2022 Edward. So I was just, speaking of the devil, I was just talking about that. And if we pull these coaches along, they actually look really nice. And I've never had 3 coaches of the same variant before. So that's actually pretty cool. That makes a pretty good looking train, actually. And what I'm thinking is I could probably make these into green express coaches. That's something that would probably be pretty interesting. Or, as I mentioned, I could make these into the coaches that are featured on the Little Western. Of course, in the CGI series, Duck pulls his auto coaches. So that could also be something, an avenue I could go down making these models. And there's probably many tutorials online of people showing off their customs of coaches like that. The magnets are not as strong as Thomas Wooden Railway magnets. For example, I'll bring this one in. You can see that these magnets are, well, if I flipped it the right way, these magnets are pretty strong, but these ones probably not so much. And you can see the magnet is actually a lot flatter than the magnets of the later learning curve items. This reminds me a lot more of like the 90s magnets that they had. For example, on my Troublesome Brake Van, that's sort of how the magnets are. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say about these items. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with them. For $11, I don't think it was a bad purchase at all. And it was actually probably something that was worth purchasing from Amazon. And I'm not sure how much longer these will probably be on Amazon. I probably shouldn't worry about them going out of stock, as they're made as a different company than Thomas Wooden Railway, of course. However, just with how stuff is going on Amazon, I feel like it's getting harder and harder to find good deals. Even on stuff like Amazon Prime Days, there was really nothing of worth to buy on there. So, with all that said, we can move on to the next item. And it was nice to take a little detour here and take a look at competitors' merchandise and still stay in the realm of Thomas Wooden Railway. Or should I say, Wooden Railway as a mode of toy in general. So, let's move on. So you'll notice that there is no track present, and that is for a very specific reason. You'll see that this package doesn't look like it's Thomas Wooden Railway shaped or really anything adjacent, but trust me, it is something very, very interesting and a different segment of the Thomas Wooden Railway brand that I don't think I've ever really talked about before. So let's take a look at this package, and honestly, I think this is actually probably one of the better deals that I was able to snag in my little purchasing spree that I have done over the last couple of weeks here with these items. And it is something that I've seen on eBay for a pretty long time, and I'm finally glad that I was able to purchase this. So you can see there that it is something pretty different. It is Yearbooks. And let's just try to not damage the Yearbooks here. I'll try to open this packaging. Here we go. Okay. So here we're finally in the packaging here. And you can see it is a big stack of Thomas Wooden Railway Yearbooks from various different eras of the brand. So let's take a look at these. And I think we'll just go in the order that they're stacked. And for this, I'm actually going to rearrange the camera so it's easier to take a look at them. So now that I've gotten the camera set up, you can see that here are the first two yearbooks, and they're the same one. It is the 2010 yearbook. And if I open up my folder right here of my older yearbooks, you can actually see that I have this yearbook. And this is from long, long ago when I was very little. And if I just go in here really quick, yeah, you can see I circled some of these items. So that's actually kind of interesting. I have both Charlie and Hero in my collection. You can see, for example, this is an item. It's pretty dumb, but that's something I always really wanted. That always looked pretty cool to me. And you can see, look, I circled all of these different items, and actually I have all of those. And now I'm actually starting to, instead of a wish list, I think I actually circled the ones I own. So that was kind of dumb of me. Yeah, so you can see, yeah, those are ones that I owned when I was younger. So that's actually what the circling was. But I know a couple of these, actually, I circled items I wanted. Here you can see, oh, this is awesome. I mean, this is awesome stuff. That's a really cool destination, actually. So let's not get caught up in all of that, actually, right now. But I just wanted to show off that I actually have this yearbook. It's pretty beaten up. It doesn't even have the front cover, as you can see. But it's awesome. For only $12, I got this stack of yearbooks. I believe there's 10 in here. And although there's a couple duplicates like these, it's still awesome to get these for only $10. Where some of these yearbooks can go range from like $5 to $20 depending on the year. And you can see here's the table of contents. It has the engines, the sets, and of course it has the special brands like the Talking Railway series or Early Engineers. This is really when it felt like the producers of these models cared about what they were making. And here's an interesting page. I saw this in the older one that we're taking a look at. You can see Ferdinand right here. Just looks like a 3D rendering of this model right there. That's actually kind of funny. And just really awesome stuff in this yearbook. You can see that here's the page back here of all the fun stuff, the coloring, connect the dots, the stickers. Those are actually pretty cool stickers. You can see that I have it and I want it stickers. I remember those, actually. That's awesome. And if we turn to the back here, you can see here's some destinations. And really, even in the later years right here, in 2010, when the show was really not that good, it was just after a year after they switched to CGI, it's still awesome stuff that they were putting into the toy production. Here on the back here, you can see Hit Entertainment, but it's advertisements for all the stuff they have. You have books, the DVDs, Day Out with Thomas, obviously, the Celebration Tour 2010. That's awesome. And, oh, I was actually going to show this right here. You can see it has the Mega Blocks brand, so that's kind of, I don't know what that's exactly for. And on the back right here, I always thought this was interesting. You can see that all this good fun comes from Learning Curve. You have Super Y, Caring Corners, LeMaze, the First Years, and John Deere. I don't know what that really means. I don't know what John Deere and Super Y have in common. But that's kind of interesting. If anyone could dive into that a little more, that would be helpful, because I have no idea what that means. And here it just has the different addresses of Learning Curve outposts across the world. And I just thought actually it would be in New Zealand. Wow, okay. So they had a company in outpost in New Zealand. That's kind of interesting. In Australia, they were in Victoria. So that's kind of interesting. So I guess that's enough looking at that for right now. And let's instead take a look at the next yearbook. And this one, I'm actually not sure of the year. I think 2011 maybe. Yeah, so this one's 2011, so the year after. And you can see the design actually changed quite a bit right here. You don't have the place where you can put your name this yearbook belongs to. Instead, you have just sort of the cover right here. And you can see this is actually, oh, do you know what? This is when Tommy took over Thomas and Friends. So that might account for some of the differences right here. You can see that this is, I'm not actually sure what destination this is. You can see Percy and Thomas in a cargo car. On this one, you can see it's the new updated. Interestingly, actually, I know I keep jumping around right here, but you can see that for Thomas, it's not the new updated face that's horrid. It's actually just his regular redesigned face from the early 2000s that they had for about a decade there. Here with Diesel 10, you can see he does have that updated creepy face. And this is around the time when Day of the Diesels came out, so I'm guessing that's why this is themed around that. You can see here's Percy with his chunky face back there, and also Diesel. So this is from Tommy, and let's see if it actually says it on the back. It says Hit Entertainment, the Jim Henson Company. Just kind of interesting stuff here that I don't know if I fully understand. Is it Dinosaur Train? John, yeah, I don't know if oh, Special Agent Oso, that's an old show. Anyone remembers that. Oso in Spanish actually means bear, so that kind of makes sense. That kind of a light bulb moment when I figured that out. But yeah, that's kind of random. So I don't know if I necessarily get what that means. If anyone could key me into what that is. Oh, wow. Here is a set that I always thought was so interesting. This set right here, with Percy and Thomas in this mountain, that was so interesting to me when I was little. And I'm actually think it would be cool to do a separate video on these year's books, going through them. So I'm just going to flip through this really quickly. And I actually saw something that's a hint for later, that Rheneas right there. And here's the awful James from James Lights the Way, with the headlamp in the face right there. So that's interesting. That's from 2011. This one looks like a little bit of an older yearbook. You can see Neville in the suspension bridge in the background right there. So let's actually see what year this is from. This is from, wow, 2006. So this is still when it was RC2. And yeah, this looks a little bit more, yeah, classic, as I said. And I've never had this year. Oh, I actually forgot to keep looking through my yearbooks. So I didn't have the 2011 one. The yearbooks that I have, it's kind of hard to tell just with how I taped this book up. If you can see right here, just how I taped this book, 2008. Okay, so this is like a builder's guide. So that's from 2008. I have this yearbook, 2016, I think this is from. Or no, I'm way off. That's 2012. Not a yearbook expert. And I actually have these two, which I got Day Out with Thomas, I remember. And I remember actually that yearbooks used to be at AC Moore, I think. They were on like a display. AC Moore used to have Thomas Wooden Railway stuff. So I know I got a couple yearbooks from there. And I got these two actually from Day Out with Thomas in Strasbourg. So this is the 2015 one because it's the celebration year for the 75th anniversary. So that's all nice. And I think that's the only yearbooks I have. And of course I have some pamphlets from back then. So anyway, back to this one. This is from 2006, and you can see it on PBS Kid. Oh, that's a nice picture of James right there. And yeah, just awesome destinations. And I think really this, like, 2005 to 2008 was the peak of Thomas Wynn Railway, in my opinion. Just with the stuff they were making, like, such interesting destinations. I know no one, like, bought this, but that's so cool. The cement works. I mean, who thinks of that? Stuff like the ice cream, the toll booth, the Rolf's Castle Brit, like such awesome destinations that really were never even featured in any other merchandise range. But it was unique to Thomas Wynn Railway that had all this diverse stuff. So this yearbook, as I said, is for actually the 70th anniversary. Surprisingly or not, 2015 was almost 10 years ago now. So it was the 70th anniversary that this was from. And that's hard to believe that this yearbook was 10 years ago. I mean, imagine how old these kids are now. They probably have kids of their own at this point. And so this is from 2015. So you can see it still has the old Tommy images of these. It has the Morning Curve one of James. It's so interesting. Mattel was so gung-ho about making new items. But at some points they were so lazy or just careless with how they put these things together. So here's stickers in the back right here. And yeah, that's pretty interesting. And so this yearbook is, okay, let me try to guess here. This is 2016, I think. So, oh, on the back, it doesn't have a date on the back here. Okay, 2013. So I'm just really bad at gauging the year of these things. So this is the first yearbook, I guess, they made, 2013. And you can see, yeah, just some of the items in there. Classic stuff, really. And so this one, let's see, this one, 2014. Or no, wait, Phillips on here. So this one's 2016. If I don't get this right, I'm having a riot here. Well, let's see if we can find a date on this. It must be 2016 because it's the Great Race. Okay, so I got that one right. I'm like 1 for 9 right here. And this one, I'm assuming is from 2007, I think. Let's see. Yeah, 2007. And once again, just Playtown, Bob the Builder. Okay, Bob the Builder makes sense. And if it advertises Take Along. So that makes sense. But the other stuff, I don't know. Let's see. So yeah, really, in my opinion, this was the golden age of Thomas Wynn Railway. Just the stuff they were making. The models were so high quality. And just the diverse range of characters, destinations, and accessories they had was really second to none. So you can see that it's introducing all of this different stuff from beginner engineers to experienced engineers. That's kind of cool how they had sort of a grade system right there. And just, as you can see, all these classic destinations and even these more obscure ones that are still really cool and really high quality. And it really felt like they cared, whoever was making this stuff. Here's some more non-Thomas Wynn Railway stuff, which is kind of interesting. I've never seen some of this stuff before, actually, like a ride-on Annie and Claremont, a third cut. That's actually kind of funny. So you can have like a train of like kids and a ride-on Thomas thing. So this is actually pretty interesting. You can see Day Out with Thomas 2007. Wow, that's really cool. And some books right here. And, oh, retired. Keep your eyes open for track stars from years past. So that's awesome that they gave sort of like, I've never seen that before. I didn't even know this was in here. They gave a list of sort of the retired stuff. For example, like Daisy here, 1995 to 2004. And then it shows like she had a limited reissue. So that's really awesome. On the back right here, we already showed that off. So here is 10 yearbooks. And for how much I paid for this, I think that was actually an awesome deal. And now I've kind of actually sort of got an itch for getting more yearbooks. So let's see, what other years do I have to cut? Probably the early 2000s, a lot of, and maybe some years there in the late 2000s too. And of course the 90s yearbooks are a lot harder to find. So that will be a little bit more of a challenge for me. However, actually, I think this is a pretty good medium of stuff to collect. And it's pretty nostalgic to look through these yearbooks and see all the different items advertised in them. As at the end of the day, when you were a kid back then, this is really where you got Of course, those advertisements and going into stores, but when you got these yearly books showcasing all this stuff, like 2007, you see that, oh, limited edition. Well, I want to ask for this for my birthday or Christmas or anything like that. So yeah, that's really awesome to have these yearbooks now. And I definitely will be putting these on like a bookshelf or something to display them. And as I said, I like quadrupled my collection of yearbooks. And of course, these are all in near mint condition. So I'm not really sure where the seller got these from. I don't know if I mentioned I got these off eBay. But yeah, I got these off eBay. And I guess the sellers just have surpluses of these things. It said that like 20 of these were already purchased. I'm not sure if they gave me a random assortment of yearbooks, but I think I'm pretty happy with the selection. I got a couple from the Mattel years, and also I got the one from 2006 and 7, and the one from 2010 and 11. So I'm really happy overall with this. And I think actually now it's time to delve back into proper Thomas Wooden Railway and take a look at our next couple of items. So now that we're back to the real Thomas Wooden Railway toys, I thought we'd take a look at this package that I got, I think, from eBay. And once again, I'm not really sure what's inside here, so let's just open it up and we'll find out. So I got a wide, diverse range of things. I got some new in-box stuff. I got a lot or two, and I got, obviously, stuff from both Amazon and eBay. So this was really just a catch-all purchase of stuff that I got, and it was really nice to get back into the swing of things, as I said, buying Thomas Wooden Railway stuff. As, you know, with thrift store videos, I've been buying a lot of stuff actually in person, which is pretty nice. But yeah, sometimes online purchasing has its perks too. So if we open this up, okay, so I know what this is. This is actually something that's new in the box. In the packaging right here, it just has a little paper. Let me see if there's anything of note on this little paper right here. Yeah, it was just the information of the purchasing. So right here, you can see that it is a new in-box item, and it is actually a character that I already have in at least one capacity, but this is a version that I do not yet own. So let's carefully unwrap it here. And the seller was upfront about the package being a little bit damaged. But for what I paid for this item, I thought that honestly it was a pretty great deal. I only paid $15 for this Rheneas, which I thought was, at the end of the day, a pretty great deal. And it's not every day you find a new in-box item for under $20, especially one that's not really as common as this Rheneas. I don't think it's really, that rare, but there definitely is some items such as the Gold Prospector cars or the Aquarium cars that are a lot cheaper than some other new in-box items, and this really isn't one of them. And I've seen these go for like $40, so for what I paid, I thought that was actually a pretty good steal. On the back right here, you can see the character card. It says, Rheneas is a tough little engine. His sole purpose is to work hard and uphold the fine reputation of the railway line. Because of this, he is well respected by both engines and drivers alike. So that actually is a great description, I'd say, of Rheneas. It is dated as 2008, and this, is Rheneas. We just went through that, and this is the Rheneas version that is a little bit wonky, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of many in the community. It's just kind of a weird depiction of Rheneas. Of course, he has the white wheels, and the color of his paint is just a little off, and overall, the proportions are a little bit suspect. So here is the Rheneas that I own, and this is the Mattel Rheneas. At least I think so. Yeah, so this isn't the Tomy one. This is the Mattel Rheneas. You can see he has more of an orange color, and he still has, though, the same proportions, basically, as this Rheneas. How his boiler kind of sticks out, and that makes his face kind of stick out. You can see if I do a side profile right here, if the camera would focus, you can see how his face kind of sticks out right here, and that looks a little bit weird, in my opinion. The Rheneas originally was the one from the 90s, and of course, I'll show a picture of that one right here. I know that this Rheneas came in a set with some trucks. I can't exactly remember what that set was called, or rather it was sort of a pack, and Rheneas also came in a set. And I know Rheneas has an expression of a surprise face, which is a cool variant, but this Rheneas actually, I don't think I need to take out of the box, simply for the reason I really have no purpose for it other than, just displaying it with my other models. And I think honestly it'd be cool to kind of keep this in the box as sort of a memento or an example of sort of this era of packaging. You can see on the top here, the packaging is a little bit damaged. Although, I mean, for being $15, for being quote-unquote damaged, it's really not that bad. I mean, there is some bending right here, crease lines, but this part right here, I mean, it's a little tear. Obviously, you couldn't hang this up on a hook. It would probably snap. But besides that, it's just a little bit of the cardboard off. So nothing really too major or dire. And besides that, I don't think there's really that much more to say about Rheneas. Once again, just not very accurate to the actual model of Rheneas. And I think Learning Curve kind of dropped the ball with this item in particular. And I'm not really sure why they gave it white wheels. I'm guessing there must have been some kind of magazine illustration or something of the like that they were basing this model off of. But you'd think when they made dozens of other characters, they would have just pulled up a picture from the show and tried to base it off of that. Because if you think, this was around the time, well, the classic series, like when Series 4 came out in 1995, it was the mid to late 90s. And then you have the Learning Curve characters go through Season 7, which was 2003, I believe. And then if you think about 2005 was Season 9 when the Learning Curve, when the Hit era characters came back. You'd think by that point they'd have a general idea of, a good model of Rheneas. So I'm not really sure what happened here. I feel like something was kind of lost in translation when they were taking this from the print to reality. And it just kind of is honestly a pretty interesting model. And I think honestly that could be a video someday of me going over models that don't really make sense or just kind of odd and obscure models such as this that are kind of a blemish on Learning Curve's legacy and the fact that they just are kind of strange. And I think I've used enough synonyms to describe how odd this model is, although nonetheless, it still is a very high quality model. And I'd probably take this over any new model nowadays, as you just see the quality, how the paint shines, the paint and lining are so crisp with the printed detailing, and it just really is a nice model, even if it is pretty wonky. So with that said, let's move on to our next item and take a look at some more wooden railway. It was a beautiful winter day on the island of Sodor, and all of Sir Topham Hatt's engines were preparing for the holiday festivities, and apparently the seller was also preparing for something holly and jolly. As you can see, this package right here is definitely something that was reused from a previous item. You can see a little coffee cup right here that says Merry Christmas, which is pretty funny. And this package, I believe, came from eBay, either eBay or Amazon. It was either a private seller on eBay or Amazon. I can't exactly remember, but I'm guessing probably eBay, just because if it was Amazon, they'd probably still have the Amazon Prime packaging. So let's open this up and see what it is. So this was another purchase that I made in sort of that round of purchases I was talking about the last couple of weeks. And it's actually something that I already have, once again, but it was something that I thought would be interesting to purchase again. So this is actually pretty nice. When I flipped this over for a second, I was a little concerned. You can see it says barbecue flavored potato chips. But on the front right here, this is actually very nice. It says, "Thank you for supporting my small business." So I'm always happy to buy from eBay sellers, and I'm sure this is from eBay because of that. And I think that's a really important thing to sometimes not buy from the big conglomerate, Amazon. Of course, I bought stuff from Amazon, so I'm playing devil's advocate here. But sometimes it's nice to, find these small stores on eBay that aren't even selling, just strictly Thomas stuff or just have a couple of items. So this is very nicely packaged, actually. You can see that they really took care in preserving this. So if I take the tape off right here, you'll be able to see what this item is. And it is another lumber loading wagon. So if you've been keeping up with my channel, you know that I have one of these. I got one of these in one of the videos I had. I think it was the second flea market purchases, or flea market finds, should I say, call it by its proper name, video. And this was an item that I thoroughly enjoyed. Let me see if I have it off camera here. So I found the other one that I've unboxed recently, and you can see it's a very nice item. And it does have, similar to the Orbrium Coaches, it has those type of wheels, but I feel like this is a little bit more higher quality. So here's the lumber loading wagon, and, you know, let's take it out of the box. I think it would be awesome to have another one of these along with this one. And I really have no reason to keep it in the box. I mean, it's a BRIO item that's mass-produced, still being sold today, so it's not like there's any intrinsic value in keeping it in its original packaging. So let's try to find that flap again that we did before and take this out of the box. This was $13, so a little less than I paid for this. This was $13 on eBay, and actually I got a discount from the seller, so the seller overall was pretty great. I think that the discount was 25% off. There was a coupon code, so all in all, I spent not that much money on this. I actually did pretty good for myself, taking off 1/4 of the original price. So I think I ended up actually paying around $10 for this, including tax and everything like that. The shipping was free, so once again, a great deal. And taking this out of the packaging is pretty similar to the other one we took a look at, obviously. And actually, let's just see what year this is. Where does it say? It says 2010. Okay. And once again, it says Sweden. Not exactly sure where BRIO as a company is from. But on the back right here, as we saw before, it has the nice layout of sort of a CGI depiction of all the different BRIO items in the BRIO World line. And once again, it's sort of cool to look at the packaging of rival brands and just see sort of how they market their stuff. And of course, that's a very common logo that if you are familiar with Thomas Wynn Railway, you'd notice the FSC logo of the Sustainable Forests, and it's a 3+ on the side. And of course, the BRIO World, that's sort of the marketing that they're going for with these BRIO items. So I'm going to preserve this box too. I might as well. And now I could switch these around and I would never know which one is the old one and which one's the new one. So that will be an interesting thing to see if there's any signifier of if they're different years. Well, actually, let's start off with, let's look at the bottom of these two and see if the bottom is different. So it actually is. This one is 2W2. This one is 2V2. And it has some different numbers in between the 2 and the BC right there. So that's kind of interesting. And besides that, I don't think there's really any other differences. I think primarily they're probably the same exact model, just sort of in a different design. And actually, I don't know if I mentioned this in my other video, but you can actually see there is the BRIO logo on the wheels. So I stand corrected, actually, about the Orbrium Coaches. If I just bring those in for a quick second, I'll just bring one of them in. How it has the Orbrium logo on the sort of plastic part. This actually has the BRIO logo sort of imprinted into the metal right there. And once again, I just really like the color scheme of these flatbeds right here. I really like how the green goes with the orange. I think it just looks really, really nice. And it's a nice change of pace to see a different colored wheel. I don't know how many gray wheels we've gotten in Thomas Wynn Railway. Off the top of my head, I can think of Spencer. Maybe this is sort of a similar color to him. But just the color scheme of these flatbeds, for how trivial it might seem, is pretty interesting in my opinion and very satisfying to look at. So let's just compare the logs really quickly. It looks like they're the same, and it just looks like they just took bits of wood and just fashioned these out. You can see sort of imperfections in the wood there. But honestly, I think that kind of makes it look authentic and looks like actual lumber. Once again, it has these magnets in the middle of the wood, so a crane like Cranky or something could pick these up. I suppose even Harvey or Rocky could pick these up. Maybe if you did like a storm scene or something like that. On the side right here, it has the same number printing, and overall, yeah, they're basically the same. However, I really do like how they look, and I like how now that I have two of them, it sort of makes a bigger train right here, and I sort of like that. I like to have at least two or more of the same type of truck or rolling stock, as I feel it makes it look a little bit more realistic for when they're on camera in a remake or in an episode or any type of video that I'm doing. So I'll be really happy to incorporate these into future remakes or episodes that I might make. I can specifically think of many instances in the actual show, especially in the classic and hit era, where these type of flatbeds are featured, so that would be pretty nice. Off the top of my head, I can specifically think of Thomas to the Rescue, when Thomas was delivering the oil barrels. You could see that the oil barrels were on sort of flatbeds like this, so that's a remake I could potentially do in the future. That's an episode from Season 8. And if I bring in Thomas, the Henry's sawmill log car, and the Spiteful Brake Van, this actually starts to look like a pretty cool train. It looks like Thomas just came from, a forest, I guess. I guess it would make more sense if Henry came along with this train. But honestly, this is a pretty cool consist and something I never could have made before without these two cars right here. So that actually looks really cool if I pull Thomas along right there. That's a really nice train, and that looks pretty realistic to an actual train in real life. And of course, if I added some vans and box cars in there and, if Fred Pelhay or something, that would start to look like a really cool train. And once again, that's why I purchased another one of these. And I think actually I paid, with the 25% off, this was a fair amount less than this one that I got off Amazon. So once again, I think it was a great purchase. And I'm open to buying more of them. If I ever find a good deal with these on Amazon or even in person, I know they sell these at Barnes & Noble for a little bit more. So that's why I never really buy them at Barnes & Noble. But if I ever find another one of these, I'll definitely be open to buying it and adding a third, fourth, who knows, fifth one to my collection, as I just really think they're pretty awesome and one of the better non-Thomas Wooden Railway wooden railway items that you can sort of have compatible with Thomas Wooden Railway. I usually like to keep my stuff pure. I used to use, for example, like blue Melissa and Doug coaches that were the size of Annie and Clarabelle. I phased those out as they just don't really look that good with normal Thomas Wooden Railway stuff. But these, there's something about them that just sort of makes them fit along with this Thomas Wooden Railway official stuff right here. So I think it's time that we move on to the last item. And with process of selection, I now know what that last item is. And actually, by chance, I think I've saved probably one of the most interesting things for last. And it will be really a blast from the past, harkening back to some older videos I've made. As promised, here is the last package we'll be taking a look at in this video. And good things come in small packages is the old adage, and I think this is correct for this example at least. And if I believe correctly what this is, there is a lot packed into this little box. So let's take a look. I'm really excited to take a look at this. I'll have to do this off screen, as the opening right here is the, this sensitive information of delivery and stuff like that. So if I just, let's see, if I bypass that, you can see I'll open it like this, hopefully, so that doesn't show anything. Hopefully that will stay right there. And that is how the box opened. And it has another little paper right here of some information of what this lot was. So let me open this up. And you can see in this first layer right here, here are two items. They're not really that securely packaged. This thing was just sort of on top of it. So let's take these two items out and quickly take a look at them. So here is Fearless Freddy and Sorter Line Caboose. So these are two items that I have already. It's kind of like an alternate universe right here. And this Fearless Freddy is from when I was really young, and it's an item I've had for a really, really long time. I think I actually got it from a family member when they were going through their collection, getting rid of stuff they didn't need anymore. So I was happy to get this Fearless Freddy. So I believe this is where that's from, and that's why it has so much edgeware on it. And this Sorter Line Caboose I got in a lot a couple of years ago. I was just talking about unboxing videos. This was actually featured in the last lot of my Mega Thomas Wooden Railway unboxing video I did. I think around 2020 or 2021 I released that video. So this was featured in that lot. So I've had this for a couple of years now. And let's see, what year is it? Just out of curiosity, it's 2001. And this is actually a Fearless Freddy once again that's in a little bit better condition. Still pretty beat up, but nothing too bad. And of course, he is labeled 2003, as basically every item under the sun is. And he actually looks pretty nice too. You can see that his face is a little less worn, his eyebrows are a little more intact, and that actually is kind of a creepy face when you really look at it. I don't know what Fearless Freddy exactly looks like in the television series. I think he was introduced around season 10, if I remember correctly, but he was never really featured that much, only in a couple of episodes. So this is the new one I got, and I guess I should explain about this lot a little bit. This lot I only got for $10. It was a best offer, and with the stuff that was in it, I thought, well, if you separate all this out, this would be way more than $10 buying all this stuff. So that's why I decided to purchase this lot and get another Fearless Freddy, even though I already have one. This one's in a little bit better condition, so I thought it would be cool to get another one of him, and for the price, it was really worth it in my opinion. Here is another Sorter Line caboose, and this is a really useful item, as you can never have too many of these. As you can see, this is a little bit of an older one. You can tell from the thinner font on the bottom here, and also the Tomy UK stamped on the bottom. And this one, wow, the wheels are really worn in the bottom too. There's like a little speck of paint right there. I'm not sure what that is. But on the wheels, let's see, it says 2003. So this one is a fair amount younger than this one, which is a little bit older. And I guess the edgewear is sort of comparable. It's sort of beat up in different ways here. So that's cool to have two Sorter Line cabooses. And I also have two musical cabooses. So in total now, if you do the math correctly, I have 4 cabooses. So that's pretty interesting. Let's take a look at the other stuff in here. There's 2 more items. And let's just, let's see if there's a way I could cover up. So that's what's in the box next. Not trying to show any information there. We'll take a look at the item not in the box. So here is Happy Birthday Thomas. And once again, I actually already have this item. So here is my variant of Happy Birthday Thomas. And of course he comes with this little cake car right here. And I think that it was, it's not the best deal I've ever had since I have a lot of these already. However, I was still happy to purchase this in the sense that I was getting all of this stuff for pretty cheap. And the main thing that I wanted, which we'll take a look at last, ended up really averaging out to only being like $3. So I think that's why it was pretty much worth it. So this one is a little bit more beat up than the one I own. Of course, I take pretty good care of my models. I don't really rough around with them, so they're pretty clean most of the time and undamaged. But here's this Thomas. You can see his face right there. He has that little birthday hat sort of molded into his face right there, which is pretty interesting, actually. I wonder if you separated this face, if this is attached, or if, it's just kind of interesting. If you took this face off, there'd be a Thomas face with sort of a giant hole in the top left right there, which would be kind of funny. The magnets are a little bit more clouded over than the magnets I have. Although, actually, wait, never mind. These are actually pretty comparable. I don't know why the Mattel magnets do that. Like, even if I don't really expose them to anything, they tend to sort of fade out way faster than the learning curve magnets. For example, this learning curve magnet right here, that's much more clear than anything that Mattel released, and the Mattel stuff is way younger, so I don't really know what that is. On the sides, you can see he has the streamers and confetti coming down his boiler onto his side tanks, and overall, it's a pretty nice item. It says Birthday Thomas, and this is a cool comparison. So you could see that the first editions of Thomas had sort of this wheel part filled in right here. And so the first run of items, my original 2013 Thomas is like that. But if I bring in a newer version of Thomas, for example, this Thomas I got on eBay a couple years ago, you can see that the wheels are not filled in. So this is like the 2015 Thomas that they made. So this is actually similar. You know what? This is actually kind of interesting. So I keep jumping around here. But this was released in 2013 or 2014, I believe. So it's kind of interesting he has these indented wheels. I thought that was usually sort of a hallmark of the newer items. But maybe they did this they filled in the wheels only with this first run. Not this one, but the one that has the filled in wheels. You can also see that the wheels here, they started using like a molding where it leaves a little bit of residue on the pin part of the wheel right here in the middle. So that's a little unfortunate. But besides that, there's not that much more to say about this Thomas. He looks like he's been beaten around a little bit. But once again, there's nothing really wrong with that. That just means that someone was playing with him, which, you know, is the intent of the toys. So you can't really ever complain about that. The birthday cake car, I think I took the batteries out so they wouldn't corrode, so it doesn't play the theme song, which is probably good for copyright reasons anyway. But this is the cake car that came with this Thomas. Unfortunately, it didn't come with this one, but once again, it's probably not that big of a loss, as it's kind of a dumb accessory anyway. The cake car, it's unpainted. It's kind of interesting that this is sort of a precursor to Thomas Wood in a way. However, this is much more nicely finished than anything Thomas Wood related had ever come up with anyway. So now that we took a look at this birthday Thomas, let's just put these items that we've looked at so far in the background right here. We have that Fearless Freddy, the Thomas, and I'll try to get this version of the Soda Line Caboose. That's the right one. And this last item here is the most interesting one in my opinion. It's a new in-box Percy. And this Percy is from the Mattel redesign of the items. It is 2013 Percy. And I guess I shouldn't say that once again, because you can see he has the indented wheels. So this is actually a later run of Percy. It says 2013, but I'm guessing this is probably like 2015 maybe, when this Percy was from. So getting this for $10, that's the main reason why I jumped on this lot, as I got this Percy for practically nothing. And I've seen him go for a lot more. Whoops, sorry Percy, I like flung him around right there. I've seen this Percy go for a lot more on eBay in the past, so that's why I thought it was cool to get this item and get this version of Percy, as I've never had him, and I think he's a little bit different than the other versions of Percy that I currently have. I have 3 different copies of this Percy, this Learning Curve Percy, and I think he's honestly probably one of the best depictions of the character. However, this Percy has some things such as like the dome, and I think his face is actually a great CGI face. It's a little bit chunky, but that's sort of a common thing with all the Mattel items. Like off the top of my head, like James has sort of a chunky face too. On the bottom, it says Percy, and it has that information of the date and stuff like that too. So I think this is a really cool item to have in the box. And the box is just a little bit damaged right here. You can see there's sort of a hole right there in the packaging, the plastic packaging. So I don't think I'll take this guy out just yet, just because, once again, I really don't have a use to take him out of the packaging. If it was sort of a new item, you know, if it was something I never had before, I would, because I'd want to have the model out of the packaging. But just for this, since I have so many variants of Percy, I just don't really see the point in it. So for right now, I'll keep him just like that, and I think he looks actually pretty nice. And so far in today's haul, I came out with 2 new in-box items that I won't be taking out of the box. So I guess that's a little deviation from the previous, like, mega unboxing videos where I took, like, 10 new in-box items out of the packaging. So, with all that said, we'll take this Percy out. He was not something I got in this lot. But for $10, I think this is actually a pretty good selection of items. And although I had most of these already, some of them are a little bit more in better condition, and also you can't go wrong with a new Soda Line Caboose. So, with all that said, let's do a closing segment where we sort of encompass all of the things we took a look at. It's sort of nice to get back to having a shot of exclusively Thomas Wooden Railway and Wooden Railway in general stuff in front of me for this closing shot here. With some of those flea market videos, there was a lot of different things. Some things not even Thomas and Friends related, some things completely different brands like Lego. So it is nice to see all this stuff and sort of the roots of my channel and really the backbone of what I collect. So I think it was a nice assortment of different items that we took a look at, and hopefully it was a little bit of a shorter video than what I normally release, so it could be a little bit easier for you guys to watch. I apologize for not unboxing the Rebecca, Rheneas, and Percy, but as I said, Rebecca I'll take a look at in another upcoming video, and Rheneas and Percy, just for the time being, I feel like keeping them in the packaging. I'm sort of rearranging my displays right now, and I thought it would be cool to have some new in-box items just to showcase the diversity in my collection. So that's sort of playing a part into why I made that decision to keep them in the packaging for now. Percy I'll probably eventually take out, but for right now, Rheneas I think is fine in the packaging, as I don't really have a use for him outside of just sort of a novelty. So keeping him in the packaging as sort of a hallmark of that would be kind of cool. With all that said, I don't think there's really that many sort of general things I need to talk about with the channel. I think without further ado, let's wrap up this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.